got me running.
Hey, and welcome back to the Lotus Richeignites show. I am super happy to have you here today. So come on in and get in where you fit in, because I've always got room right around my table for you, your friends, and your frenemies. So go ahead, like, share, start a watch party, run and tell somebody that Lotus Richeignites is hot on the box. I'm going to encourage you, grab your notebook and grab your pen, because I always say note takers are money makers and note takers are change makers. And welcome all around the world. This is your girl Lotus Riche, and I am super happy to have you with me here this evening, because I've got a phenomenal guest that is here with me tonight, none other than Dr. John Eves, all the way from Georgia, in the house. And listen, tonight we are going to be talking about none other than the power of passion and professionalism. Now, let's get this right. I said the power of passion and professionalism. So when you come in, have some power, have some passion, and have some professionalism, and get in where you fit in. Come on and get in where you fit in, because I've always got room around my table just for you, your friends, and your frenemies. That's right. Go ahead and tell your friends, tell your family, and even your frenemies to come on in, because I got some room around my table for each and every one of you tonight. And when you come into the house, please let us know where you coming in from. Let us know what city you're coming in from, and tell us a little bit about what you do. That'd be all right too. And so with no further ado, I know many of you saying, Lotus, we've heard of Dr. John Eves. He's thebomb.com. Yes, I know. That's why he's on the show. And Lotus, we want to get in. But before we get in, Lotus, we want to know what's in your cup. So, all right, you know how I'll do it. I'm going to get right to it, and I'm going to share what's in my cup. But I want you to share what's in your cup too. Tonight, I am sipping on a wonderful blend of, got some lemon juice, and it is dynamite. It's right and tight. It helps to clean out my system and keep me healthy in spite of all that's going on around us. Yes, I said it. So, as I said before, when you come in, please go ahead, like, share, start a watch party, send this broadcast to somebody, put your money where your mouth is, because we are about to go to school. And I always say, bring your notepad and pen. See the wonderful colors? It's trying not to show up, but this is my notepad. And get your pen and come on in, because tonight we're going to give you some great, wonderful golden nuggets that's going to help you have power, passion, and experience professionalism. So with no further ado, I know a lot of you are coming in. Hey, let us know where you're coming in from. I see someone in here from Africa already. Let us know where you're coming in from. We want to know. All right. So listen, as you come in, go ahead and tag somebody. And before I bring Dr. Eves in, I want you to give Dr. Eves some love already. So put a J-E in the comment. Put a J-E in the comment. And yes, I'm going to put my J-E in the comment too. You know how I do. I work a little overtime, because that's what I do. Okay, so put a J-E in the comment and give Dr. Eves some love before he come in. And so as we're moving along and as we're tagging people, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to go ahead and tag some folks. Tell us where you're coming in from, and then we're going to get hot on the box with Dr. John Eves tonight. Be right back. Here's your 30 seconds. Tonight is right and tight with Dr. John Eves on the box. It's going to be a sure delight. So go ahead and tag a friend and tell them to come on in as we get set for this powerful show with Dr. John Eves. You know how we do it. Come on in and get in where you fit in. All right. So listen, folks, tonight, like I said, I've got a wonderful show for you tonight, and I'm happy that you're here. We always keep the show right and tight. Before my guests come in, I want to tell you a little bit about my guest. Dr. John Eves is the former chairman of Fulton County government in Atlanta, Georgia. Hey, ATL, how you doing? Happy to see you. He's a former congressional candidate for the 7th District of Georgia and a current adjunct instructor of political science. Of course, he's Get Down with the Get Down, Spelman College. Hey to our folks at Spelman. You guys have a phenomenal doctor teaching you and training you. Wow, wish I was at Spelman. Dr. John Eves also has a unique perspective in the discourse of the United States political arena. He is a 3rd-generation Black Jew. That's what I said. And guess what? I'm going to get some secret sauce out of him tonight because I want to learn about what the Black Jewish people do and who they are. Yes, I know. I have friends who are Black Jews, but we want to hear the story from Dr. Eves. He is the intersectionality of his African and Jewish heritage. And, you know, he's made so many strides in equality and to understand people. And, you know, it helps him to be sensitive to such issues as social justice, racism, antiism, poor education, mass incarceration, and equity and equality. And one of his political mentors was Reginald Eves, the first Black chief of police. That's right, I said it. And tonight, I'm bringing him to you to come and do what he makes it do. And if you don't know, he earned a BA at Morehouse College. Yes, Morehouse in the house. Woo! Morehouse in the house. So if you know somebody from Morehouse, or if you from Morehouse, go ahead and put an M, a H, and a C, Morehouse College, because Dr. Eves is here with me and you tonight. And so we're about to get this party started. So with no further ado, I want to present to you right here on the Lotus Richeignites show. Here we go.
You ready? You got me running, got me running. Shake it, shake it, shake it.
He's here, Dr. John Eves, and the Secretary of State of Georgia. He served as the National Director of the NCAA Volunteer for Youth Program, Southeast Regional Director of the Peace Corps, and the Chairman of Fulton County, Georgia's most populous county. You've seen him on many shows, and he also has Atlanta Speaks. He's got some of the best leaders in the world that he might. And here we're discussing the power of passion and professionalism. Come on in and get in where you fit in. Only on the Lotus Richeignites show. Please welcome the remarkable Dr. Johnny.
Whoa.
Hey! Wow. Dr. Eves, hello.
Happy to be here. I feel like I'm on the Oprah Winfrey show.
Woo! Hey, Oprah. Wow, I am so happy to have you here. You are just a phenomenal person. And it's a pleasure. I was mixing pleasure and privilege together. It's a pleasure and a privilege to have you here because we're going to get right and tight tonight. I've told my guests a little bit about who you are, what you do, and somewhat of how you do it. But wow, I'm just happy to have you here to talk about the power of passion and professionalism. And you embody all of that. So how you doing? How are you?
I'm doing great. Listen, I feel like I am on top of the world tonight. I'm so excited about being on your show and sharing my thoughts with your listening audience that's international, from Africa to the United States of America and all parts in between. So I'm just excited about being on the show tonight. So thank you for this opportunity. It certainly is an honor.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure to have you here. And to our guests, we see you streaming in, and I want to thank you right at the top for joining the show. And please invite someone you know. And we're going to get right into it because I know y'all want us to put Dr. Eves right in the hot seat. So we're going to do it right now. So, Dr. Eves, tell us about who you are and how you serve the world.
Well, Dr. Riche, listen, service is a part of my DNA. I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, was very fortunate to have parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, cousins who were about education, about serving the people. And so those were my role models. And I certainly had no other option but to serve. And I had some great role models ranging from my grandfather who immigrated from Jamaica, who wanted to be a doctor. He never made it, but he ensured that 10 of his children went to college. Wow. And then my father was a tremendous role model. He was an educator. He was a dean at Edward Waters College in Jacksonville, Florida. And as you referenced in my intro, my Uncle Reginald was the first Black police chief of Atlanta back in the early 70s. And of course, my mother, who's still alive, she's my heart, and she's the one that really has cultivated a degree of kindness and passion as well. So I'm about service. I've done it all the way from going back to high school, Morehouse College. And I think probably the biggest thing I did when I was at Morehouse College, along with playing football, was I volunteered in the Atlanta public school system, worked with young boys and girls during the murder and missing children crisis in the early 1980s. Of course, I'm dating myself in terms of age, but it was a very, very scary period in Atlanta where young boys were snatched off the streets.
Yes.
You know what? Rolled up my sleeves and said, hey, I'm going to mentor some young brothers in middle school, and parents, they respected me. They trusted me. And I helped a lot of young brothers, some of whom today are successful people in Atlanta, Georgia. So that's part of my resume of service. And I am certainly passionate about helping others.
Awesome. I love it. And a special shout out to the Eves family. We want to thank the Eves family for what you've done in the past and what you're doing right now and what you're going to do in the future. Hint, hint, because we got some secret sauce, and Dr. Eve is going to tell us about it later on tonight. So with that being said, you talked about your mom, you talked about your uncle, you talked about people in your family around you that really supported you. They poured into you to help you be the man that you are today. And not only to help you be that man that you are, but to help other men and other young girls too, because you don't just serve just men, you serve all people. And you're doing this as a result of what your family imparted into you. So thanks again to the Eves family for what you do. So let's get right back up into our second question that we have for you. What inspired you to come to the show and discuss this topic, the power of passion and professionalism? Because it's a tough cookie to kind of chew on, if you will.
It is. I mean, frankly, passion and professionalism have been a part of my background. And I think professionally, I'm educated. I'm an educator. I have done I've assumed a lot of roles professionally in terms of working with people, teaching, and but also at the same time having the common touch. Right. So you can have a sort of this professional flair about you, a level of sophistication about you, but at the same time being as personable and as down to earth as you can. So professionalism has always been part of my mantra in terms of projecting. You mentioned Morehouse. Morehouse does an excellent job in terms of, this Morehouse man. The Morehouse man has a look, has a talk, has a walk, but at the same time, we are also about service. And so that flair, that polish, really goes back to Morehouse. And so I've exhibited that during all of my professional work over the past 20, 30 years. Now, passion, that's the fuel. Passion is what allows you to get up in the morning when you're tired. Passion allows you to go that extra mile when you're tired. Passion helps you go against the headwind. It's the fuel that keeps you going. It's the fire in the belly. It's the differentiator between you and somebody who's just average. And so passion is certainly important in every realm professionally that we're in, and particularly in the political realm. Passion is is what catches people's attention. When you get that fiery speech, when you speak with confidence, when you stand up and have your back straight, that's all passion. So passion is often the differentiator between the winner and the loser, the person who goes the furthest versus the person who stops. And so passion along with professionalism are two important characteristics of any successful person, man or woman.
I love it. Did he drop the mic, y'all? Did he drop the mic? If he dropped the mic, go ahead and put an MD. He dropped, or DM. He dropped the mic, right? He dropped the mic. So I want to say thank you so much for coming in and dropping the mic. And thank you to all of our viewers on Instagram, all over the place, Clubhouse, that'll soon be listening into your broadcast, Dr. Eves, because the Clubhouse team needs to hear your voice. And so I want to jump up to this question right here, number 3. What brought you about your passion to serve in the capacity that you were serving? What brought that about in you, especially in the arena where oftentimes it's a thankless position, what you're doing and how you're serving?
So the two things, it's a great question. The two things, one of them is what I call the clarion call. It's almost like the blowing of the trumpet. In biblical days, when the blowing of the trumpet represented you're about to do something spectacular, and it brings when a trumpet is sounded and blown, it gets your attention. And so that clarion call, not only from my family, but I'm going to really uphold Morehouse. Morehouse has done a great job for 140, 50, 60 years. It's an institution that inspired Martin Luther King. It's an institution that inspired Maynard Jackson and Edwin Moses and Spike Lee and Samuel L. Jackson and so many other strong Black brothers alive and those who've gone on. That clarion call is certainly present at Morehouse College. It is, you can be the best that you can be, but brother, you go out and you serve your community, because your brothers and sisters who can't make it to Morehouse or Spelman, your sisters who can't make it to Spelman, you have a responsibility to help them. And so that clarion call is loud and clear in my life. Number 2, this level of expectation. Again, Morehouse is phenomenal. Day one, they said, we expect you to do great things. We don't expect you to be average. We expect you to be successful. We expect you to be a leader. We put a crown above your head, and it is your responsibility to rise up and put that crown on your head, because you've risen up to reach it. And so I think that those two factors, the clarion call to help, there's problems in our community, and that level of expectation. We expect you to do something. And I tell you, it's in my heart. It's an engine inside my body that keeps me going in terms of providing service. So it's a clarion call and the level of expectation.
Awesome. So if you love what you're hearing thus far from Dr. Eves, go ahead and put a 2 in the comment block below, because when you talked about the clarion call, when you talked about the level of expectations, we have people on this broadcast from all over the world. I see some folks who are current military, prior military, have family in the military. And those are some of the things that I know, me as a person prior military myself, and have worked with the Department of Defense for a number of years. There has to be a call on your life that makes you get up in the morning when other things tell you, no, lay down. And many of us that have been in the military, we know what it is. It's reveille, heave up and tries out. But there's an internal call. There's an internal mental fortitude that helps you press forward. So it leaves you with a level of expectation that is higher than just average. And that's critical. And so I'm really happy that you talked about that, because it's profound. And so for those of you that got what he just said, I double dog dare you to share this broadcast again. and let us know who you're sharing this broadcast with. Call them out, put their name in, and let's move on. So, Dr. Eves, I know that you've been around for a long time. You've done a lot of things, and I mean, you're just doing stuff all over the planet, and you've got your own show as well. And I want to drop some secret sauce.
Okay.
So as I drop some secret sauce, I want to know if y'all want to drop some secret sauce, go ahead and put an SS in there, because I'm about to drop some secret sauce, because it's something that you guys may not know about Dr. Eves. Not only is he here, okay? Not only is he here, I'm looking this way because I'm about to drop some secret sauce, okay? He has something called the Eves drop.
Yeah.
The Eves drop. Not that he's eavesdropping on anybody. It's called the Eves drop, okay? And so we want to know about the Eves drop, okay? So Dr. Eves, I'm going to bring up some Eves drop right here. This is where you can go to check him out on his Eves drop. And you see me looking this way, of course, because I'm working on this other thing right here. So let's talk about the Eves drop. And I want to talk about your mentor, Mr. John Lewis, a little bit. Stage is yours.
Yeah, John Lewis was a special man. He was a moral leader, and meaning he was very consistent with his messaging and his commitment and his undeniable desire to support and defend the rights of men and women in our society, specifically the right to vote. This man, going back to when he was a teenager, he heard Martin Luther King Jr. on the radio. He was living in Troy, Alabama, and he heard him on the radio, and he wrote Martin Luther King Jr. a letter asking to join up with the boycotts in the South. And John Lewis did a lot in terms of putting his life on the line, most notably the 1963 March in Selma, Alabama, the Edmund Pettus Bridge, when the white police and the highway troopers refused to let them cross the bridge. They were only asking for voting rights, and John Lewis was hit over the head with a billy club, stitched up. But this man, he lived, ate, and drank freedom, and he would often say, "It is our sacred right to vote." And I interacted with him quite a bit when I was chairman of Fulton County. I had a chance to visit him in his home, in his office in Washington, D.C. I attended his town hall meetings. He supported the events that I did and activities that I did. And so he is sorely missed, not only in the United States, but let me tell you, Dr. Riche, he is sorely missed in Atlanta, and he's had murals painted about him, streets named after him, schools named after him. And even though he's been gone from us for a year plus, his memory and his spirit are both very much alive in Atlanta. And I certainly admired him. And I'm so fortunate to have intersected with him at this point in my life politically, and I got to see him up close and personal.
Yes. And you know, that's the power of the eavesdrop, folks. I had to get this secret sauce in here because my cousin Tara White, Dr. Tara White, out of Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama, she knew him quite well. He was a mentor to her and a mentor to you. And I correlate the two because here's the thing: great mentors need great mentors. And let's get back to the eavesdrop.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about the eavesdrop, because this is actually on your page. You talk about that. Tell us about what the eavesdrop is and what made you bring it about.
So I'm going to say something, and I don't want to sound haughty and elitist or anything like that, but I believe that the most sexy thing is Black intellectualism.
Yes.
There's nothing more sexy than a very smart intellectual woman or man. And so At the end of the day, I have received tremendous training, not only at Morehouse, but I went to Yale University, got my master's degree, and got my PhD from University of South Carolina. And so I like to write about topics that have a degree of intellectual flair about it. I am just a tremendous admirer of W.E.B. Du Bois, who
Yes.
wrote Souls of Black Folks, and who also really talked about the talented 10th. And he was one of the founding members of the Niagara movement in the late 1890s, which was a forerunner of the NAACP. And he was a professor at Atlanta University. And so he was an intellectual giant, but he was also passionate about Black people. But he went about it in an intellectual way. It doesn't take away from anybody who's more down to earth or more, street talk, if you were to say.
Yes.
But I like intellectualism. I'm also a big fan of Malcolm X, believe it or not. Malcolm X was a very smart man. I mean, people don't give credit for him, but he was a very smart man, and his political instincts and insights were incredible.
Yes.
So I have been writing a series of articles over the past couple years, and it is obviously Eves as my name, but drop in terms of sharing nuggets of information and thoughtful commentary about a variety of topics. And so we have that information in on our website. Also, as you can see from the screen, I'm somewhat versatile. I'm not quite as proficient as a TV host as you are, Dr. Riche, but I certainly have been doing some hosting of a TV show here in Atlanta called Atlanta Speaks, and we've had some very notable people as guests on the show, and it provided us an opportunity to have some very thoughtful dialogue about issues that are important in our community, especially the Black community.
And what I love about this, when I did my research and I looked really into who Dr. Eves is and what you stood for, I went to this page and I saw not only do you do a lot of discussions on things that are zesty, they make people do critical thinking, but you are totally across the board. You've been on multiple interviews talking about difficult topics, and you take a great picture too. So, and here's something that you talked about right here, from Jamaica to Judaism. And a lot of times people don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about the personal bridge between Black Jews. A lot of times people don't understand what and who Black Jews are. But on the eavesdrop, you discuss difficult topics like that. So I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the secret sauce on the eavesdrop. So thank you so much for sharing that about the eavesdrop.
Yeah. I'm going to use a fancy term, but I'm going to define it. An oxymoron is sometimes it's a term that has seemingly opposite meanings or opposite directions. And so sometimes people think of Black Jew as an oxymoron, but it's actually not an oxymoron. As I mentioned, I went to Yale University and I studied religion. And for me as a Black person who's Jewish, I wanted to find my ancestral roots in the Torah and in the Bible. And it is certainly there. There's so many references in the so-called Old Testament about Egypt and Ethiopia. And well, guess where those two countries are? They're in Africa. There's no reference to Poland and Germany. It's African countries. And Moses was raised in the house of Pharaoh in Egypt. And you can't. I'm Black, but I'm a light-skinned brother. So you can't be too light in Pharaoh's household and not be outed. So the biblical evidence is there that the ancient Israelites, the Hebrews, which are forerunner of Jews, were, probably an Afrocentric type people,
right?
Or at least people of color,
Exactly.
And so I am not ashamed of that, and so I'm proud of the fact that I'm Jewish, and and there's something called Hebrewisms or aspects of Judaism that are in Africa, whether it's the concept of one God or the act of circumcision or some other Hebraic practices and beliefs are firmly in the African continent. And there are Jews in Ethiopia, Uganda,
Yes.
Nigeria, Ghana, and South Africa. Jews that they're called the Lemba, Lemba, Lemba tribe in South Africa, and they trace their lineage to the tribe of Levi, 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 which was one of the 12 tribes of Israel. And so there's a lot of evidence that not only was Judaism present in Northern Africa or even the Middle Eastern part of the world, but many Hebraic practices went south into the sub-Saharan part of Africa. Mm-hmm. And so as a Black person, as a person of African descent, I have just as much a right to claim to Judaism as anybody else. And if you were to visit Israel today, you will actually see a whole lot more diversity in Israel than you believe. You have Moroccan Jews, you have Ethiopian Jews, you have Jews from Europe, you have Jews from different parts of the world. So Israel actually is more multicultural, multiracial than people give credit for. Right. And Jews are a lot more multicultural and multiracial than people believe. It's estimated that roughly 20% of all Jews are people of color. Right. So it's not an oxymoron. It's just not well known, but Black people just have just as much right as anybody else to claim Judaism.
Awesome. Awesome. I told you he was going to come in and flip the strip and drop the mic and all that, and he is doing just that. And so, look, we're going to take a quick pause for the calls, and we will be right back.
I had the opportunity to work with Lotus Riche and her team to create a promo video for my business. And let me tell you, she and her team are pretty darn outstanding. I had recorded a video that we were going to use in the promo. And during our meeting, they actually walked me through what worked in the video, and they provided suggestions for improving the video so that I can actually capture the audience and the clients that I want and the people that need my services. They actually told me what I could add to the video and how to set the entire thing up so that when people watch that promo, they will come away knowing who I am, what I do, and why they should contact me. So if you have the chance to work with Lotus Riche and her team, you are not going to be disappointed.
I love it. I love it. I love it. But guess what? We've got something else for you that we've got to show you before we bring you back to Dr. Eves. Okay, I know you guys are loving it. Take this time to let us know who you're sharing it with, because when we come back from this quick commercial that's coming up for you now, we're going to ask you where you're coming in from. We're going to talk to you and tell you you can ask some questions if you want to. We'll be right back.
Hello, hello, hello. I just had to jump on here and say a big thank you to Dr. Lotus for taking time out to invite me on her show. And let me tell you something. She said it very clear. Ignite and take flight in every part of your life. Thank you, Dr. Lotus. I appreciate all that you have done. And hey, if you want to get noticed, you got to get with Dr. Lotus. Stay blessed, stay safe, stay absolutely fabulous. Ciao, ciao.
You ready? got me running, got me running. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. Raise your hands up. Raise them up.
Ignite, y'all. Hey, all right, all right, all right, all right. And we are back. We are back. So, Dr. Eves, let's jump on in. Let's see who's in the audience, who's following us. Dr. Eves, I got to tell you, before you came on the show, I asked some people to please send you some love. I asked them to put a J in an E. And so, of course, you know I had to give you some love. We got the Pro Network giving you some love. We got the Lotus Richeignites team giving you some love. We got Angela Elting out of Washington, D.C. giving you some love. And, of course, we got the News You Can Use team giving you some love. We got Denise Simpson-Hurst all the way out of, where you coming in from, Denise? We need to know. I know you're in Chicago. We also have Phyllis M. Weaver coming out of North Carolina. And, of course, we've got Dr. Florence giving you some love. All these folks giving you some love. And guess what? They did say where they're coming in from. Dr. Florence is coming in from Burundi, Africa. We're so happy to have you here. Wow. And James Wright is here with us tonight. And he says J.E. He's giving you some love. And Mr. Pueblos is here. He's coming all the way in from the Philippines. Wonderful morning here watching from the Philippines. And Dr. Florence says, we are proud to have you. And yes, we are. She says that service matters and serving people is a blessing, of course. And of course, I asked him to put some D's and some M's in earlier because you were blowing up the mic. It was a definite mic drop. But I said DM, and see, my followers, they pay attention to detail. So we got several DMs. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And to our viewers, we thank you for watching the show and sharing the show. Let us know who you sharing the show with. We have Hillary Gooden all the way from Chicago. She said, rise up. That's right. And she sent you a crown because we know that you are a king. And we got some twos in the house because they loved what you were saying and they want to hear more. They love the SS, which is the secret sauce. They love the secret sauce that you got. And of course, we got, the wonderful Dr. Elliot Heflin here with us. He said, hello, Doc. Hello yourself. Always happy to have you. This gentleman is a scientist. He's a robot mastermind. Dr. Elliot, let him know where you're coming in from. And oh my God, the Guinness World Record holder himself, Emilio Roman, is here all the way from New Jersey. Happy to have you here. And we got Sarah. She's streaming in all the way from the Philippines. So take this time to go ahead and get in where you fit in, because I always got room around my table, and invite your friends and your frenemies into the show tonight, because I've got the remarkable Dr. John Eves here on the box with me tonight. And of course, for those of you that's just joining us, the topic tonight is the power of passion and professionalism. He's coming, he's crushed the mic, telling us about his passion, his professionalism. We talked about what about his passion to serve in the capacity. And then he gave me some secret sauce and told me about the eavesdrop. And make sure you check that out. And so now we're going right into question number 5. So let's talk about this. You shared that one of your proudest moments was when you were invited by John Lewis to be part of the congressional delegation to attend the 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday in Selma in 2015. Can you tell us some more about that?
Yeah, so one of John Lewis's signature events was a annual commemorative a pilgrimage to Selma, Alabama on the anniversary of the Edmund Pettus event. And he would invite his congressional colleagues, Democrat, Republican, members of the House and the Senate. And Dr. Lotus, he asked me to go as his special guest for the 50th anniversary in 2015. There were over 200 members of this delegation from Washington and other parts of the United States. You had Bernie Sanders, you had Elizabeth Warren, you had Maxine Waters, you had John Conyers, you had some incredibly important people. You had the daughter of Robert F. Kennedy, the daughter of former President Johnson. You had some really important people, and I was the only local elected official who was there, along with these prominent people, as well as these members of Congress, senators, and members of the House. And to top it all off, the keynote speaker on the day of the anniversary was President Barack Obama, and his lovely wife was there, along with President Bush and his wife. But it was a tremendous, humbling experience for me to go and be a part of this pilgrimage, to walk across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And then on the Sunday of the 3-day weekend, I had a chance to go to Montgomery and meet some civil rights leaders from Montgomery, visit Dexter Avenue Baptist Church, where Martin Luther King Jr. was pastor, where the famous Montgomery boycott was launched in 1954, 55, somewhere thereabout. But let me tell you, that was probably one of the highlights, was to be able to be a part of this wonderful, unique opportunity to represent Atlanta, Fulton County, but to be among these giants in the political arena, headed by not only John Lewis, but also President Obama.
Wow, you know what? All I can say is I've got him up on the screen. Give him a virtual clap by putting a 10 in the chat. Give him a virtual clap by putting a 10 in the chat. I love it. Fantastic. So with that being said, I'm going to come back on the screen.
Okay.
And I'm going to share this because, you know, a lot of people don't really realize the magnitude of being in the midst when you're talking about the boycotts, when you're talking about how, you know, you were in the room with so many amazing people, Maxine Waters, John Connors, and many, many more. The amazing Mr. Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama, you were there.
Yep.
And you helped to make history.
It was it was certainly a historical moment, and sadly, I believe John Lewis only was able to participate in maybe 5 or 6 subsequent pilgrimages.
Right.
But I certainly was there on the 50th anniversary, which was noteworthy, and it had some high-level folks who were there. So it was a great experience that I'm going to share with my grandchildren.
Yes, awesome. And for those of you that know and love Mr. John Lewis, Dr. John Eves loved him too. And Mr. Lewis, we send you positive energy with love and light.
Can I say something about that picture?
Yes.
So that picture was taken about 2 years ago. And I went up to Washington, D.C. to attend the Congressional Black Caucus weekend. And I was a private citizen. I wasn't an elected official. I was running for Congress, as you mentioned in your intro.
Yeah.
And he, as he always did, gave me an opportunity to have company with him. And I hadn't really seen him in about a year. Mm-hmm. And John Lewis looked a little bit slower than usual, a little thinner than usual. I said, okay, well, maybe age is just catching up with him. Well, about a month and a half or so after we took that picture, that's when he announced that he had, I think it was pancreatic cancer. It's either pancreatic cancer or colon cancer, one of the two. And but he was going to fight. And of course, as you know, he died a year within the year of the announcement. But that was he was still functioning. We had a wonderful conversation. But little did I know at the time that that would be the last time I would have the opportunity to be in his presence, his company, and to take a picture with him.
So that begs a question. And the question is this: what would the Dr. John Eves, knowing what you know now, have asked of your mentor?
Yeah, wow. We certainly talked a lot about the political climate in 2019. I think that's the year it was. And I certainly would have asked him, did he have any regrets? Would he have done things differently? But even if I were to have asked that question, I don't think John Lewis had any regrets in his life. I mean, he was just a moral leader. He was often called the conscience of the Congress by President Obama because he spoke his mind and he was so consistent. And I think that he lived a top valued life, a life that to me is almost as exemplary as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in terms of how this man was really revered. I had a chance to spend time with him and walk through the streets of Atlanta. He was so gracious. He was anybody who would stop and say, Congressman Lewis, can I take a picture? He would always gracefully take a picture or a selfie. And he would say, he'd call people brother or sister. He was really a man of integrity and a true moral leader in this country who we really miss right now.
Yes. Amen. Amen. I concur. I concur with that. So, and thank you for sharing that. Thank you for making the time to share that, because many people knew him, many people loved him, and to reflect on his genius and how he imparted in you and how you're imparting in the world, it is priceless. And so, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next question, because we're getting near the hour. Oh my God!
It's going by fast.
I know it's getting near the hour, and we got to get to this. We got to get to this other question. So let's talk about. You are currently running for Georgia Secretary of State. Can you? I've got several questions that people want to know, so I'm going to ask them in this order. Okay. What inspired you, first of all, to run? Because when you win, speaking into future, you will be the first person of color to hold the office. And sometimes it's scary to be the first person. So what inspired you to run?
Yeah, I remember when I was learning how to jump off a diving board many, many years ago. I saw these other people jumping off the diving board. I was afraid. And I went up to the diving board. I looked at the water and I just jumped. I see what's happening in this country, how the rights to vote of people of color are being challenged. I mean, visibly and explicitly challenged. And I said, listen, I'm not going to sit on the sideline. I'm going to go up to that diving board and I'm going to jump right on in. And I just refuse to see the maliciousness that's happening in this country. And it's really directed towards people of color. And the State Department even was more specific and said in Georgia, it's about disenfranchisement of the Black voter. And I'm for all people, but I'm also for the underdog. And I just don't want, and I can't sit on the sideline and see what's happening and not put up a defense to defend and to protect. And so of all the positions anyone can run for in public office, is the Secretary of State's office is the one that oversees the election process for the whole state. That person manages the voter rolls, people who register. You manage that 6, 7, 8 million people who are registered to vote. You can protect the vote. You can make it easy for all people, Democrat, Republican, black, white, vote, because it is a sacred right, as John Lewis pointed out. It is part and fundamental of being a democracy. And just because you have some folks who are conservative and who are so afraid of the browning of America and don't recognize that diversity is our strength, and they want to come up with roadblocks and barriers to prevent and to make difficult some people to vote, I'm just not going to allow that. And so this is a big deal, Dr. Lotus. It is an executive position. It is a position that few Black people have ever held, and it's not by accident. It's statewide. It's a position that manages the elections process, but it's also responsible for business development and a host of other responsibilities or areas of responsibility. It's a big job. I'm up for it. I have the professional and the political experiences and the passion to do it. And I just think that we need somebody who has integrity. So I know that's a long response, but that is why I'm running, and I'm glad I'm running, and I'm very confident of my success. Let me just say one thing. Of the 50 states in the country right now, 3 states have a Black Secretary of State right now: California, Pennsylvania, and Illinois. But Illinois is the only state that has an elected Secretary of State. The other 2 were appointed. And so it is unique. It is exceptional in terms of how many Black folks have been elected to the position. And I certainly want to establish a precedent and be a front runner, a forerunner, and a record breaker, because I want to make history in the state of Georgia.
I love it. And I'm looking forward to seeing the race and seeing how you come through that race. And so let's go right to the next one. Why is it important for you, and why is it important to you? And I think you tapped on it a little bit, but you as a man who's living in the South, oftentimes people living in the South are disenfranchised even today. So why is it important for you today? Yeah,
I've seen the South. I've seen Georgia really progress over the years. It is arguably one of the most diverse states in the country. In fact, the census just came out 2-3 weeks ago. Georgia is almost a majority minority state. 49% of the people in Georgia are non-white, which is, you never would have thought in Jim Crow South that this would be the case. Well, it's a almost majority minority. And so it's got the potential of being a wonderful model of democracy in the United States of America. But the underbelly of diversity, underbelly of this growth, is a conservative element that wants to turn back the clock. I'm not going to see that happen. Dr. Lotus, I became a grandfather in July. I don't want my granddaughter to live in a state where she's not a first-class citizen like anybody else. I don't want her to have a glass ceiling that prevents her from maximizing her potential because of her race or her gender. And so I believe at this point in time, we are at a crossroads, and we can either go forward in terms of inclusion, in terms of progress, in terms of true diversity, or we can go back to the segregated era. And I believe that most Georgians don't want that. There are a few who do, but I think most Georgians want us to move forward. And I believe that the accumulation of my experiences, professional, academic, personal, and political, really have shaped me and prepared me for this moment of leadership. And so I'm working hard every day to be successful in my campaign, in my candidacy, and I am very confident of success when election comes around.
That's right. I put it up there. Connect with him today. So connect with Dr. Eves today. I love your passionate conversation about who you are, what you're doing, why you're doing it, why it's important to not be disenfranchised, not only in the now, but you talked about for future generations to come. So let's talk about how does being the first person of color possibly hold this office feels, and what does it mean to you when they turn to you and say, and I'm speaking this, it's not that he said it. I like to speak things into fruition because I believe what we think about, we bring about. And so after the election is over, and should they turn to you and say, Dr. Eves, you've won. You've won. I know you're going to have to take a breath because I know it's going to be overwhelming. And I know you have a wonderful staff that's helping you and people are cheering you on. But once you get there, I know the people want to know, how are you going to continue to make change and make a difference? Because so many people before you have said, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, but they didn't bring it to fruition.
Yeah.
So can you talk to me about that for a minute?
I have a personal motto, and my personal motto is I want to leave something. When I leave something, I want it to be better than it was when I assumed it. And I want to make this position a position of change, progress, inclusion, representation that's in proportion to the population of the state of Georgia. Georgia benefits from the diversity of our state, but economically, the diversity does not benefit like it should. And I'm not about the continuation of the status quo. The status quo is the normalization of what's happening right now. I'm about change. And so when elected, I will see it as a mandate from the voters that they want me to implement my vision, which is a more inclusive business development structure in the state of Georgia, a more inclusive economic state of structure in Georgia where all people benefit from the economics. But the road to get to the economics is the voting. And so voting is important because voting allows you to put people in office, allows people who once in office can set policy and make decisions about budgets. And so that's why the voting is important. So I'm going to do all that I can to protect the vote. And I fundamentally believe that everybody, regardless of your party affiliation, your race, whether you're urban or rural, rich or poor, you should have the right to vote. And I'm going to make sure that everyone does that. And you let the chips fall where they may. In a democracy, 50% say one thing, yes, plus one person, and that's what determines who wins. And I think, and that's how it should be. And so there's a connection between the voting and the economic benefit, the economic opportunities that are available in the state of Georgia. And I want to make sure that the Secretary of State's office makes sure that all people, regardless of their background, can benefit economically in our state.
I really like that. I like that you said that I want to leave something to be better when I assumed it, or better than when I assumed it. And a lot of times people come into an office and it's broken already. And so they have to work feverishly to get it fixed. And I'm not hearing you say that you're afraid of that. I'm hearing you say, I'm ready to make change. I'm ready for inclusion. I'm ready for diversity. And that's amazing. And if you guys are ready for inclusion and diversity and change, go ahead and put a number 5 in the block below. And so we've got one more question. And I know we're at the top of the hour. And Doc, if you could hang with us for another maybe 5-10 minutes, we've got one more question. And I think you've already answered some of the question. What type of effective change do you hope to make? And you've shared that. And I think you've also answered a little bit about this. How does you talked about that. So we're almost to the secret sauce. We're almost to what's next and how they can support the movement. And folks, take this down, because this is how you can support the movement. And we've got people streaming in from all over. And look, I know what's next. Somebody just put some secret sauce up there. He's going to be one of the keynote speakers that's coming up. And you've got a lot of folks putting some 10s in here. They're happy to hear what you're saying. They want to see change. The remarkable poet, Dr. Yamija Jubilee, she says, fantabulous. Angela Elton says, congratulations and making history, talking it into existence. That's right. People are sending you that positive energy. Dr. Yamija Jubilee, inclusion, diversity, and equity. And you are the one, says Angie. So let me read this from Angie. She said, your granddaughter will be proud of all of your accomplishments in helping to make a difference and pave continuous paths for her to follow and pave herself. Thank you for providing the tools for our future leaders. And Miss Dr. Yamija Jubilee says, that will be your legacy, my beloved brother. Yes, indeed. We are ready. And we've got some 5s from people all over that's saying they are ready to see you make the change. And we have the amazing Pamela Luhing all the way from Alabama. She's in the house with us tonight. So thank you so much. And so look, folks, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with the amazing Dr. John Eves. He's running for office as what, Doc? Go ahead and tell
as Secretary of State of Georgia.
Whoop, whoop. I double dare you to say it again.
Secretary of State of Georgia.
All right. So he's running for Secretary of State of Georgia. You know somebody in Georgia that you know, love, and care about. Let them know. Ring his name in their ear, and we'll be right back. All right, Doc. I love it.
Thank you.
You know, everybody wants to get their business booming. They want to get their business booming right where they are and globally. Well, guess what? There are books that can help you get your business booming. And I am Dr. Lotus Riche from Lotus Ignites, coaching and consulting. And I'm here to bring to you speakers, authors, and change makers that's going to help you get your business booming. So come on in and get in where you fit in, because I've got amazing speakers like Precious the Killer Pitch Master Williams, and of course, the Colonel Margaret Fournier Holmes, coming straight to you on this free, check it out, free webinar on books to get your business booming. I'll see you on August 28th right here in this private Zoom room. And guess what? We're going global, because we're going to also show it on Facebook Live. So we'll see you there. Get in where you fit in and get books that get your business booming. See you on the other side. Thank you for watching the show. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, and share so that you care. Also, let us know what other type of shows you'd like us to just for you. Thank you.
Shake it, shake it, shake it, baby. Raise your hands up. Raise them up. Yeah.
you that's just joining us, I've had a wonderful time with my phenomenal guest, Dr. John Eves. He is here all the way from Georgia. He is just an amazing man. He's done so much in his life. He's been the chairman of the Fulton County government in Atlanta, Georgia, former congressional candidate for the 7th District of Georgia, and current instructor. That's right, Spellman. Hello. And you know, he's a third generation Black Jew, and he talked to us about that today. And because of who he is and what he's done and how he's been raised, it's really made him sensitive to the issues of social justice, racism, poor education, anti-ism, mass incarceration, and equity and equality for people all around the world. And so I'm so happy, Dr. Eves, that you have graced this platform tonight as we talked about the power of passion and professionalism. And so with no further ado, we're going to give some more secret sauce as words of wisdom. So I always say, if you have your notepad and your pen, go ahead and take these notes. Why? Because note takers are money makers and note takers are change makers. But you got to take those notes and put them into action if you're going to make change. So with no further ado, I give to you Dr. John Eves, candidate for what?
Georgia Secretary of State.
Woo woo!
Yes.
It's his final words of wisdom for this broadcast. Dr. Eves?
Listen, Dr. Lotus, thank you so much for this great opportunity. I think one of the things that I hold on to as an elected official, someone running for office, is the old Chinese proverb that when you fall down in life 6 times, get up 7 times. And that may not on the surface make sense. You may think, oh, you fall down 6 times, you get up 6 times. No, the proverb says you fall down 6 times, you get up 7 times. And basically in life, you're a winner if you succeed at least one more time than you fail. And the only reason that you can succeed is get in the game. So life is about taking risks. Life is about getting in the game, not sitting on the sideline. So I have done a lot of good things in my life. I've sometimes fallen short, but I get successes because I try. And so friends, if you fall down 6 times, get up 7 times.
Whoa, I like that. When you fall down 6 times, get up 7 times, because after all, you are a winner. And for those of you that have joined us tonight, we see you, people are coming in. Woo, 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 woo. He's the Secretary of State of Georgia. I know he's not saying that. This is our viewers are saying it, okay? But we're sending you positive energy for your run for the seat. And Phyllis Weaver out of North Carolina says, thank you for your bravery. Actually, she's out of Virginia. I digress. Thank you for your bravery, passion, and persistence in achieving your dreams and goals for today. What would you say to that, sir?
Well, thank you. This has been heartwarming, and it's about pushing forward and leaving a legacy, but making an impact right now. And so that's part of my mantra, it's part of my DNA. And so I'm just going to keep on keeping on. But again, fall down in life 6 times, get up 7 times.
Awesome. And all the way out of Alabama, we have the remarkable Pamela Luhing. She was the #1 runner-up for Miss America, I believe it was, years ago. So just amazing to have her here. She says, Dr. Eves, may God continue to order your steps as you assume the position of the Secretary of State of Georgia. See, I got some praying folks here.
That's great.
They speaking it into existence. And then Angela said, note takers are money makers. Yes, they are. And Pamela says, thank you for sharing your experience and your expertise. And also to your words of wisdom. Phyllis Weaver says, great words of wisdom. Thank you for those words of encouragement. Get up 1 time more than you fell. Get up. Thank you so much. And Liddy is here. She says, good luck for the race. And Dr. Jemija said, life is a continuous growth process. And of course, Dr. Florence from Burundi, South Africa says, powerful. Wish you all the best. And of course, we will celebrate in Liddy says hi and bye from Los Angeles, California. And another comment, thanks for commitment to our continued getting into good trouble. Love that. And so with that said, I've got one last thing to share. I would be remiss if I did not share this with you. Dr. Eves is one of the featured keynote speakers in the upcoming summit that we're having right here in Washington, D.C. So with that being said, I'm going to share with you this summit so you can come and join us. So give me one quick second to turn the music off and turn this music off, because the music was just going. It was like, yeah, Dr. Eves is going to be here. We know. Thank you. So we're going to go right here to our Facebook page, and we're going to show you this summit that's coming up. It's going to be amazing. So we double dog dare you to make sure you come and check him out. And we're going to start it from here. Here we go. All right, fantastic. And make sure you check him out on the summit that's coming up right here in Washington, D.C. You are going to be amazed. And Doc, what will you be speaking on before we close our show?
I think it's social entrepreneurship. And it's something that I'm going to embrace as Secretary of State of Georgia. You know, how can you address social needs but also make money at the same time? And I think you can walk and chew gum at the same time. You can do it.
Okay. And so let me ask you this. How can people support you?
Yeah, go to my website. I think it's in the chat. John Eaves, EAVES, for Georgia.com. John Eaves for Georgia.com. That is my website.
All right, fantastic. And as you see it scrolling down below, and of course, we put it on your side of the chat to all of our viewers so that you can click on it and make sure you connect with Dr. Eves. And so now, yes, I know it's my turn for my final words of wisdom. So I'll say to you all around the world, thank you so much for supporting this broadcast. Don't hesitate, support this broadcast, because it helps me to bring people just like Dr. John Eves, someone that really cares and that is concerned about people all around the world. And so with no further ado, I thank you and I look forward to seeing you on our next broadcast. All right. So with that being said, wait, someone's saying, wait, I got something. Okay. Look forward to the summit. Will it be a Zoom version for those who cannot attend in Washington, D.C.? We are looking forward to having a Zoom version for those who cannot attend in Washington, D.C. Please DM me, and we'll get you some more information. And you can also DM this person right here, Dr. Florence, right here. She is the founder of Foundation Lab, and she is one of the hosts of the event, and she can give you more information. So until we meet again, Dr. Eves, please stand by, and I'm going to bring him back to the screen as we bid all of you a happy and mighty and blessed farewell. We thank you so much for all that you do and all that you're about to do for being the best you. So good night, sleep tight, and we'll see you on the other side of Ignites. Thank you, and see you later.
Thank you.
Come on, Doc.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. E.
Yes.